As I was planning my Saxon turn, I noticed something ugly. There's no Romans at all, or no Britons at all there. I'm gonna back up a little bit to, what is it? I think the recovery and reset before I play their turn. Nobody can use F1 because there are no casualties there. I think that's the only thing it affects, right? Yeah. So, and I looked over my pivotal events and saw I don't think there's anything that I actually even, I could play this, but it wouldn't do me any good. Only the Scotty one. I keep calling them Picts because, you know, they're up in Scotland. And it's Rome. But yeah, I know. That's the only one that can be played still. And I'm a little hesitant to use it, although, you know, I should have probably used it before we got to the end of this deck because things were in question that we ended up getting through. But yeah, as I was thinking about attacking here, I realized, wow, I don't have it defended. And I can't defend this, but I can defend that. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to pull troops from. These guys are probably a bit overkill. We'll just do that. But yeah, I'm going to probably do a raid. I don't see anything else I terribly want to do. Saxons did their raid, and they did ravages again. I don't know how wise those are because it's reducing the population. But since I'm not really threatened here and here, at least on the turn that I'm landing, I chose to launch the attacks, to do the ravages, and I grabbed the money from that. I had to make the decision before I got my rolls. These guys actually got a really crappy roll. Definitely not going to battle here, and because I didn't ravage there, they don't get a chance to battle back. That also affects some of the game state numbers. I think I've got the total prosperity right. I can't be sure because it was banging up against 80, and it may actually be higher than that. I don't think so, though. I don't think there was anywhere that had gained population, and now we've got 2 reduced populations and a couple of refugees, which the Britons may want to resettle somewhere and up the population because they're beginning to, you know, lose some ground there. I don't know if there's a Briton refugee, actually. I assume there is out of the population there, but I'll have to look that up because this was not Britain controlled. This was. And for the next player, it's only a limited command. The Scotty could take it. They're not going to get a shot at this card. I got to think about it because maybe it's better just to grab a Renown. It's kind of a slower recycle rate if they don't do that. But on the other hand, that means next turn they're going to get to do nothing and they don't even get the Renown for it. So probably try to figure something better out to do. Scotty went ahead with a free raid. They don't have to pay. If they only roll 1 die, they got very lucky, 4 pieces. And because of the wall, they can ignore the forts, so they can just slip in there. Of course, they can ignore things by using oceans as well, so it's not really that big a deal. They only get one of the prosperity cubes, and the new card is Fickle Weather, which allows you to play with the prosperity in regions. That might be interesting. I don't know how valuable it is. Certainly if you're going to raid something, you want prosperity there. Uh-oh, took another prosperity away. Hard to remember to maintain state. But the current card, and you probably remember this better than I do because you've been watching the video and I've been away on a walk and work and all that. The Alleluia Victory, the Siphates can battle a barbarian in 1 space with free reinforce. Or the Siphates can be forced to pay 10 resources to the Pope. Now, the nice thing is I get first crack at this. And the Dukes get first crack at this next card, so they're probably not going to take this unless the Savates take the event, in which case, I don't know which way to go. You know, it's kind of nice to overcome people, but then I am still passing, and I, you know, end up not in the right order in the deck. I don't get as many real turns, so I don't know. Oh, the Savates are going to make the Dukes have a hard call. They first talked to them and said, hey, will you let me take the forces from York? And they're like, yeah, that doesn't really hurt me as far as I can tell. It might expose York to an attack, but it puts me on the road, all clustered together. I'm fine with that. So this whole force went in. I raised some militia, and I brought one in from there, all because it's just free, and I got the big die roll modifier. So I was able to wipe out those Saxons pretty easily. They failed to evade, and then I chose to take their loot for myself, which I assume I'll be able to do something cool with rather than put one immediately into prosperity. I don't see much point to that. That gave the Dukes some prestige, though, for being involved in the battle. They totally wanted to be in it, I guess. But now the Dukes have the hard call. Hey, do they want to play this card or the next card? And the Dukes failed. They chose to take an intercept action. I really like those. They remind me of, I don't really remember Fire and the Lake that much, but I know most of the coin series, the roads allow you to do some kind of things kind of like it, and I'm pretty sure Fire and the Lake did. But they actually remind me of Vietnam, the U.S.'s security operation, where they just can move anywhere on the big highways and clear all the stuff that's near them. It's probably closer to the Fire in the Lake situation, where you can just slide quickly and make an attack. I would guess that that worked more that way, but again, that's a game I played once on video. So I pulled troops from here and here, paying Civitatis money, and I picked my other thing to be a retaliate, so I could like get rid of their fort and get more value and all kind of cool stuff like that. I'm not sure it's under Saxon control anymore. In fact, I'm sure it's not. It is now a Britain control, which means that goes away, and we just hope that. Oops. Yeah, and that's actually dangerous because they're at their victory point and there, and that could cause some serious issues. Let's push these over, these there, and see what the next option is going to be. The next option is going to be a Saxon Scot card. The End of the World. Alric sacks Rome. Immediate Imperium phase, no hoarding, with -5 penalty to Britain control and -15 to total prosperity plus prestige. That sounds like a very appealing card, simply because it's going to weaken the Romano-British position heavily. I don't know. I don't feel like I can play very much. I'm very fatigued today. I took a nice long walk, but so yeah, that's. I feel like I gotta play more. This is one of the problems with this game. I can't just walk away. I feel like, well, I gotta make my decisions on these cards, you know. He did some big raids here, along with their ransom feat. Now, the way I read the ransom feat, it's a little different from the other feats, because it says each region after plunder, which to me means that it kind of interrupts and interleaves into the raid, which is to say that you can ransom things before you make, it didn't end up mattering in this case, but before you make the decision as to whether or not to wreck a stronghold. This is important because you can only take from regions with strongholds. So like, these only had one stronghold in them, and I wouldn't get the extra money. Now, it's only a 50-50 chance of getting the extra money. I got $2 out of my 4 raids, or 2 prestige, 1 from each of the Britain factions. And then making my decisions on attacks. Well, here the one of the hill forts was left undefended. The other one had 2 units hide in it. I went and killed the undefended one. Took a, you take a little bit of loss doing that. But the rest of them, I defended each of them, and the numbers don't work out well on the attack. So the escalade, raiders are halved for escalade. So this has a half point. If we look over here, hill fort has a half point, and each garrison unit is worth 1 point. Well, that means 1, 2, and a half, and these are only worth a half each. So that would have killed all of these in the first blow. And then these guys go up to full value, so I'd be able to kill these 2 in exchange for the rest of my units. Well, that's not a good trade. I lose my my little prosperity cube and everything. Ooh, I just stole a bunch of prosperity cubes that I wasn't counting on. That's 4 prosperity off. Okay. I didn't change control anywhere because I didn't knock out the last hill fort anywhere. Which is kind of interesting. For the Saxons, they want this card, so they're going to pass. They certainly don't want a limited command, so they're going to pass, and they get a renown for doing so. And then we swap things out. This card that the Saxons want comes here. And we get Douglas River. Fens are not home terrain for Saxons for the rest of the game. Wow. Or, in Fens, Cav are halved in field battle for field battle strikes and losses. Oh boy. So, I really wanted this card. But I want this card more. I can't make Fens not my home terrain. Horrible. I think that means I have to pass again with the Saxons on this one. It works out better than I thought. My totals would not drop below the levels that would even drop it to autonomy if I have my numbers right. I'm not absolutely convinced. So we started with 40 population here. -1, -2, -3. This is back up. -4, -5. I think I should be at 35, but I'm not absolutely positive of that. -1, -2, -3. -4. No, I'm only at -4, yeah. So having gotten this back was kind of big for that. And what that means is at 36, I would be losing 5 off my control markers. Well, that doesn't get me below the 30 or whatever. I don't know if it's below or at 30 that causes me to crack down. And likewise with these guys, they're at -15. Well, assuming I have my total prosperity right. I'll count that and make sure, but let's say I do. If this is at 72, we got 6 and 6, yeah. If that's at 72 -15 puts it at 62.57, the limit there is 55. So unless I'm off by more than a couple of prosperity, that also will not drop me down to autonomy. So I'm pretty much not interested in it. You know, I don't know if I want to count even, but as I counted the spaces that I'm not covering from the original prosperity. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. And I came up with 15 spaces not covered, so I think I'm actually at 65.71. But that's still not enough to make this worthwhile. So, because we can't afford this, we do it again. And that leaves Civitates with the option to take this card. Or they could let the Dukes take this one because they get this next one. And that's kind of an interesting situation. Normally you want to grab, you know, as many actions as you can, but we're feeling a little bit of pressure here. If we give the dukes an action, are they going to hurt us? Because we're kind of close to winning. Or are we just in so much, you know, so much hurt that I want to give them an option and try to make things up? It's hard to tell because I'm not familiar enough with the game to make a really good decision as to how badly am I doing right now with the Romans. You know, obviously I'm not doing all that badly because this card doesn't screw me. So I may want to hurt the dukes as well as ensure that they can't hurt me by taking this action. And then the dukes have the option to take this one or to go second on this next one. Now probably third, which means they're not going to get a chance, so they'll probably end up taking a limited action. For the Civitades, they chose to do trade with a rule action, mainly because this allowed them to get rid of their refugees. They don't want to leave them to be dwindling. Trade got them a big pile of resources, some, you know, 15, because they have 15 towns on the board. And then they did pay to increase prosperity in a couple of spaces, which is great. That helps the dukes, but overall I don't think it's a bad thing for me to do as the Civitades, especially because with the rule action, oh well, let's see, trade was allowed to get me, no, the rule action, I transferred also Vate's plunder to wealth. Well, I actually had some plunder, so now I have some wealth. And then I bought, let me see what I did. The first one, okay, so this one here, I converted 2 of my resources into wealth. Again, improving my chances of winning. So right now I'm at 17. They're at 6. I have an 11-point difference. 10-point difference is all I need to flip this to myself, but I'm already there. So I'm just creating the space there. Control is pretty much in the region that can win. So I'm making choices harder on the dukes. They kind of have to lose control, which I don't know. And then in the other 2 spaces, I increase my populations out here, more inland, get them away from, get my refugees away from the Saxons. Obviously I could have increased here by 1, but you know why? That's a place that the Saxons want to live. I don't want to help them, you know, and it's not quite Fens, but it's close enough. I'd rather just start pulling inward and building these up. Now these can only go up to 3s. There are a couple of places that could go up to 4s, but those are not among them. So for this next action, the dukes do want to go because we know the Saxons are going to take this card, assuming nothing weird happens, and then the Scotti probably are going to take, you know, their full action in return, and all kind of great stuff is going to happen. But so we kind of have to take a limited action here, because otherwise, I mean, we could just take some money, but we got Civitades money we can use. What we did was we attempted an intercept over here, and the Saxons ran away again. Just can't seem to catch them. We'd like to be able to kill them, but nope. And it shifts things like this. This card is moving. Let me think. Is there any reason anybody wants to do one of these? We can't do that. Can't do this. This is the only one that could trump in. We don't really mind this card. We think it's cool. So let's see. Swift Chargers. Sudden Strike. Pay to march up 2 regions. Battle in any destination. Marching units arrive. -1 to enemy evade and ambush rolls. Oh, that's sweet. Lucky Raid. Free raid in 1 region. Then free return from there. That's really sweet too. Unfortunately, Saxons may not want... See, here's the thing. What if I make Fens not... what if the Scotty make the Fens not a home area for the Saxons? That hoses the Saxons at this point. Does it hose them enough that, like, that I make one of the Britain players more or less in the winning condition? I feel like the Britons are closer to their victory at this point. Let's check these. Saxon Renown, no. Scotty Renown, no. So we're nowhere near victory, which means we probably don't really want to hurt the Saxons there. So if the Saxons maybe talk to us or don't, they may be interested in this. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to get to use this. So I think we're going to grab our event, because making Cav suck in the Fens just sounds good anyway. Do that. And that means it's time to return. And what can we do with that? We could settle or entreat. I gotta think about them. Conceivably, we could do more raids. We don't have a lot of these pieces left, so that might seem kind of bad. But on the other hand, we have a bunch of raiders here that could grab more crap. So that's another opportunity, because both settle and entreat are only 1 region each. Now, the way settle works is each raider on a 5 or a 6 turns into a warband, and then for 3 renown, if I end up with Scotty control, I can get 1 warband per population, or place 2 with a Scotty settlement. Oh, wait. I'm not going to get Scotty control here. Wow, did I? I did not settle before with these. Second control 1 per population, or replace. Hold on. Let's see how these are worded. I wish these were structured a little differently, maybe without using just English sentences. If adjacent to returning raiders, you know what? Maybe the rulebook has a better presentation. Okay. Yeah, because there's more space in the rulebook. And these are feats. Okay, so this one says go do it just like Saxon. Okay, settling allows them to convert. It may only accompany a return or march. First, if that space is in or adjacent to any raiders, you roll a die for each such raider, then you get this. Then if desired, if the settle space has a Saxon settlement, for each raider, place a warband. So this doesn't look the same. If the Saxon space has a Saxon settlement, pay 3 renown to place a warband per Saxon settlement there. Plus, if under Saxon control at the outset of this feat, 1 warband per this population, which is not how I would read it the way it's worded here. Let's take a look. Roll 1d6, place that. Then, if desired, either pay 3 renown to place a warband per settlement, plus, if Saxon control, 1 per population. Aha. Or, so the or here is not under the Saxon control. Replace 2 warbands with 1 settlement at an empty site. And or, wow, where does that and or come in? Okay, that and or is part of this or. Yeah, following the player aids is not as clear as here. Okay, but this is worded differently, right? Or is it in the, it's just in the different order? Yeah, it's just in the different order too. Wow. Yeah, this is painful. Okay. Which means I probably would get a settlement there. So what are my die rolls for the Scotty settle? On a 5 or 6 is the only thing. So I'm probably going to get like a third of my units, which means in these big groups, you know, I'll get a couple, but I'm better off probably entreating if I do this, which will convert, it costs 4. Settling is an exchange. And I'd get a hill fort and 2 militia with a Scotty settlement and warbands. Well, luckily, the Britons kept their hill forts, etc. So I think I do want to return, and unfortunately, I have to do it in all, well, I don't have to do it in every area, but any area where I want money, I have to do it. Wow, those are, you know, damn it, man, maybe I want to raid. I'm being ignored. The problem with raiding is you're really pushing your luck because you're not pulling a lot of money on each given raid. So if you do a raid and withdrawal return, you don't get as much prestige off that as if you do a couple of raids before you do a return. But on the other hand, there is the possibility I could be attacked. Now, the nice thing about being Scotty is that I'm playing around in the hill lands, and the only place where there's a road is right here. What's up with the Romans? Do they want those horses? Yeah, they might well want them. They can't do a whole lot of battles. I mean, they could wipe Hengist out, but they keep trying, you know. Shit, I don't know, man. I think I don't tempt fate. I think I do the return. Okay. And I will do it. I don't have to do it everywhere. This is the only place I'm really scared. Oh, God. Oh, what the fuck. What if I raid? I could do more ransoms, I could grab more stuff. Yeah, I think I got a raid. One thing about raiding is I don't need a lot of dice, so I can do 0-point raids everywhere and just hope what I get because I've only got 4 pieces to gain. We're not waxing those hill forts. Honestly, we kind of like them being there with the 2 militia. Maybe those militia shouldn't be there. That's kind of weird feeling. This card comes here. And what do we get? Recruits. Youth flock to army, 4 cav at forts, no more than 2 cav per space. Deserters, select up to 3 spaces without a fort, remove half the cavalry in each space. Uh-oh. Dangerous. And that, of course, makes this more questionable again. All right. I think I'm done for the night. And come back and keep playing this epic out. Just jump in. First things first. Someone pointed out some potential clerical errors, likely clerical errors that happened during my epic phase. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably did it. In particular, I think I put twice the population worth of cubes, prosperity cubes in place. Let me just make sure what they're saying is right. I don't want to go back in the video and try to figure out if I actually did it. I believe if they saw it, but so let's see. Recovery of prosperity. You get it equal to the population, and yeah, I think what I did was I was putting in, oh crap, this thing. I dropped pieces and something bounced from somewhere. And I don't know where the fuck it was from. I'm constantly dropping something. I don't know what it is. And cubes go scattering. And it's not dice, which is kind of weird. I don't know where this piece is supposed to be. Fuckity fuck, 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 fuck. I don't want to just throw it out. But I'm not seeing anywhere where it likely came from. It could have come from here. It could have been bounced from here, but I think there was only one in there. Son of a bitch. I don't know. But we put too much prosperity on, so there goes a prosperity cube. And if it came off the Saxons, you know, too bad. Anyway, yeah. There's some problems. I have to say the pieces in this, especially these little fuckers, which often go flying out, but anything, it's clumsy to pick up cubes, and somehow these little guys get knocked over. You have them stacked on top of each other. I'm not used to stacking happening in games with little wooden pieces much. It's just, I'm finding it very, very much more clumsy than a counter representation. And this is maybe the first time that I felt this bad, at least, with a coin game with all its cubes and everything going on. And there are various reasons. And one of the biggest is these little tiny prosperity cubes. Okay, so anyway, what the Romans did, they kind of, the dukes kind of had to pass. They're too afraid of this card. So they took their 3 resources. But that put me to the civitas, who actually can do this too, the swift chargers. It doesn't say anything about a restriction on using cav or anything like that. They pay to march to up to 2 regions. Well, I think they could march from a lot of regions at $2 each, but I chose to march from here into here to try to kill this guy, and from here into here to try to get the Duke's attack there. So the B in this case, in both of them, is can the evasion happen? Well, the bonus of this card is the marching units arrived, battle at any destination, -1 to enemy evade and ambush rolls, which means we got Saxon warbands in their home, raiders in their home terrain here. They get to evade on a 4 through 6, but with -1, that's going to be harder. Yeah, they do not, and we're going to be able to blast them out of the way. I believe we can steal that, and let's see what else happens here. Cav fought, and its side lost less pieces, so that gives the Dukes a prestige, which is not something we really want to give them. No, it's half rounded down, or I could return 1 to the space. Okay, so instead of grabbing this, I could return this. I have nowhere I can put it. Okay, no good there. Over here, this is harder. The warbands could try to ambush. So they evade only on a 5 or 6, which is not good, but they ambush on a 3 through 6. I think we're going to try to ambush and do as much damage as we can because our chance of evasion is low. And we fail to ambush, which means the charge comes first. 2, 4, 6, 7 hits. I could hide 2 pieces in here. Okay, so there's 5. 5 hits on the Saxons. We won the battle, so another Duke's prestige. And now we're allowed to assault. There's no restriction against assault on this card, is there? There is not. So we would be hitting a settlement, which which has an escalade of a half. What does that mean? And holding capacity of 2. So I could do 1 damage with my escalade. And these are not raiders, they're militia. If I recall correctly, only militia are halved. Cav take double losses, so I can take the hit on one of my cav. Now, we go to the storm. All units of both sides strike, each unit giving 1 loss, no halving or defense factor. Now, stronghold garrison takes first hits, then withdrawn forces. There is no stronghold garrison there. So, we're going to be killing this, but it is able to do 1 loss. Now, the question is, what the Civitates want to take as the loss. I believe it's their choice what they lose. No, mixed forces have specific rules. So that may actually be, let's see again. Yeah, it's the Escalade where the double losses are allowed. So yeah, I'm taking 2 hits here. Which, you know, ideally, I would take on just this, but I don't think I'm allowed to. I think they have to be split evenly. And I think the Dux actually takes the odd loss. That destroys the fort, however. And each stronghold destroyed, the attacker places 2 plunder, 3 if a town, from off-map onto the attacking units. And including cavalry if retaliate, not retaliate. And if Dux gains 1 prestige, I don't think the Dux was involved in this battle. Like, I don't think they owned the battle. I believe this other thing here is if Cav fought, and on its side fewer pieces. But I gotta look this up, because again, the player aids don't always have things worded the same way as the rules. So we'll find the assault rules, if we can find them. We got feats. Are they? Yeah. Okay. The executing faction places 2 plunder from offboard onto any attacking units. Well, I can only take 1. Okay. Because I was not doing whatever. If a Dux assault removes a stronghold, no. Where's the Dux bonus? If any cavalry pieces fought and its side removed more pieces, the Dux gains a prestige. This is not a Dux assault, so I'm going to say from both things I'm seeing, they do not get an additional point even though they were involved in the assault. Could I be wrong? Yeah, very easily. I don't feel like trying to hunt down. There isn't even a fact sheet as far as I know, and I know that the living rules haven't been updated at all, so with things that were being suggested. So I'm just not going to worry about it because it comes down to hunt through the threads and look for what the designer may or may not have said. Okay, so that's these 2, and that was done as an event. It pulls this one over. We get Aqua Sulis. Hired muscle, play Saxon Federati and Atra bodies, 3 warbands, and if none there, 1 settlement. Or Tribal Wars, remove 2 prosperity each in 5 pieces. Other than Cav or Forts, a faction stronghold lasts in the region from the Booney and Atra bodies. Okay. Did we have anything happen of interest? Yes. Nope. Thought we did. Yeah, I don't think we affected the table. I don't think we affected the state markers at all. And again, it's always kind of a problem in the coin games. this one, it feels like maintaining that state is harder than usual. Some interesting options. They could play this card for the event, which is what they were kind of planning on doing, because that's one way to prevent the enemy from getting the event. And they would get their 3 cav back, 2 in one space, 1 in another, and that prevents this force from getting decimated. Well, more than decimated. Or another option they have is they could do a command only. Now immediately I start thinking, well, how does train work with that? Because that would be, you know, the way to best make it up. And that would cost about $9 to do, which seems like a fairly heavy amount of money, but it wouldn't be me paying it. So, you know, maybe. Because I've got the danger of all this money turning into wealth if I'm not careful. And that'll make it very hard for me to get Duke's command. Other options, I could go intercept. Now, I can't intercept up to here. I could move up to there, I couldn't intercept up to there. So that's kind of a problem. And that is my only real army. And likewise, I can't intercept to here, because I could destroy those. Which means really it comes down to march or train. I think I'm going to actually do train without... There goes another one of these fuckers. I bet you that's what happened. It fell off somebody. But I don't know who, you know. Did it come off one of these militia? I thought I had them handled already. All the money out of them. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to do train, but I'm not going to do a feat so that I can prevent that event from being done. And that means I can buy... spaces with fort or friendly control. In each space, 3 resources to put 1 cav per fort. Yeah, this is complicated. I'll be trying to build my cav. Trying to parse these on video is just ridiculous. It really, every time I read them, I feel like I'm trying to parse really bad computer code. So I did some stuff, and here's the problem. I kind of forgot what I did. But I put one of these down, which means prosperity goes up. That's prestige. Yep, too many different markers. Too many for my mind. You know, if you're really used to the game, sure, it fixes easily. And wow, this battery ran out real quick. I wonder what's up with that. Okay. I did build my rest of my cav, and I threw the rest of the militia on the board as well. Hopefully in legal places. And the Saxon, the Scotty said, hey, I get second pick next card. Chances are I want to do something. I'm going to pass and take my bucks and see what happens, because I don't want a limited command. So the Saxons took the limited command here because they're pretty sure they're not going to get a shot at this card, much as they'd love it, and ended up... you know, if the Scotty had taken theirs, we'd be happy because we'd probably get the event then, which is kind of a cool event for us. But no, so instead what happened was we took the limited command and we pulled back our raiders. And I'm not sure how valuable this was because we couldn't do a settle along with it. So all we got was monies that we're going to have to spend on a raid to get more pieces on so we can do the settlements and everything. Yuck. Okay. And there are no Saxons on the board anymore. The Picts didn't, or the Scotty did not want to withdraw because they have too many spaces they have to withdraw from. A return is as many spaces as you like, but with a limited command, it's only 1 space. And that means we pull this one up, which the Scotty would love, or the Saxons would love, to put Federati on board. But the other is... I can pick on somebody's pieces. Dobuni and Atrabades. I don't know where the fuck those are. There's Atrabades. That's Dobuni. So yeah, I can hit the Romano British there. And the new card is Nial's Raid. Place Nial's Raid at 1C, huh? Until Epic, reduce raids from there by -3 raiders each space after patrol. Well, that sounds horrible. Oh, that's a storm. The other is a Daring King. Scotty can raid from Oceanus Britannicus, which they're not really that interested in, to tell you the truth. The Storm's probably a more interesting option. Oh, they can do this for the game, though. So, like, if this fleet wasn't here, they would have access. They're more interested in the Highlands, though. I'm not sure how thrilled they are with the idea of raiding into the lowlands, but it may be that they make everything so poor that they can reach that they kind of have to. Okay, that puts us on the next play, and I gotta swap batteries. I did a quick recalculation of the population under Britain control, and it ends up being 38. I don't know if I correctly counted the 2 refugees that I added in. That would be a definite possibility that that's where I lost it, or I may have not counted the population when it was added there. Again, game state can be really problematic, and in this case, hey, that's enough to put the Britons ahead. And you might end up playing a game and having that number wrong and going into that last phase, and oh boy, that can cause problems where, you know, people thought it was safe and it wasn't. Somebody was capable of winning. I'm finding it harder in this game than most of the coin games to keep track of game state. Okay, Civitates do not want this event to be played because basically 5 pieces other than cavalry or forts can be removed from Dobuni and Arabates. That's these places. Well, that could be 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 pieces there, so I mean, quite a bit of damage can be done. Control could be lost here. It could be very painful, and control is very important. That's 3 of my population sitting there, so I don't want to lose that. So I'm trying very hard to make that not happen. I did a trade action, which threw me a lot more cash, which is likely to get converted into wealth, which, where's that hiding? That's hiding up here. If I can get that wealth shot up high enough compared to Duke's Prestige, and I can keep this ahead, I should be able to get a win. And the way I'm looking at it is, hey, I might be able to get it this period. Now right now I'm at 7 cards down. I probably had some extra cards though, so we're probably not, I could count and make sure, but we're probably not going to hit in the next couple cards, but we are getting close to the next epic, so there is some danger there. And what I've done is I prevent the Picts, or the Scotty, from getting this. They're going to pay and up their thing to get first shot at this next card. And that means this. And we get Dogs and Wolves. Another Scotty card. Naval defense is entrusted to Federati. Flip up to 2 patrolled, not patrolled markers now. Raids from patrolled seas subtract for Federati settlements instead of forts. During upkeep, the Dukes pay only a half resource per fort instead of the fort they have. This is not a bad card. Raids from patrol seas subtract for Federati settlements instead of forts. Ooh, that's not necessarily good. So that would actually be an interesting card for the Saxons to get rid of these. Well, it wouldn't. They could get rid of these, and then they also have changed this so that the forts are no longer the thing that would feed into the raids. So that's appealing to them. They're probably not going to get to play this card, but the Dukes might have to consider what's going to happen with this card. Of course, they can't trump the Saxons on it, except by pushing this into play. Are we getting close here? No, we're still in Roman rule. Saxon pivotal event is 15. We're not quite there. We were close before, but we didn't really want to do it. That's getting rid of the federati. This one's still available, and it might be my best answer to coping with the Britons and being able to do them a lot of damage, because it kind of looks like they're close to winning. But when? I got to do it before that card comes up, but I want to do it as close to when it comes up as possible. Ouch. In order to do it, you have to be giving up a first or second place on the current card. Now I've got a first place right now on it, but if I push this, that means I don't get this cool card, and this next card is kind of cool too. Not that I terribly want that one, but what about this one? Scotty may raid from Oceanus Britannicus. I'm not really all that interested, so this would not be a terrible card for me to lose. I may not get another opportunity to play this. However, this creates all kinds of raiding. Scotty would get 5 targets. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I could do it. I could grab more cash, I guess. One of the problems is here, I would have to remove pieces. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go home. Am I terribly worried about what anybody else does with this card? Place Neil's raid. Yeah, I don't feel like there's any one C. I mean, Hibernicus could hurt us the most, but I don't feel like there's one C that I'm terribly affected by. First of all, I can come raiding down this way. Secondly, I can come raiding out of there. Neither one's optimal though, but I am still available to raid from here, and there's no C protection there either, so I should be able to hit things that I want to, I think. Settle for the Scotty, grabbed all this, or the return for the Scotty. They haven't gone back yet. I think I'm gonna do settle, because it's not actually just one space. I keep forgetting it can encompass other spaces. It's if at or adjacent to returning raiders. Roll a d6 for each such raider. And then I can place them in the selected space. If at or adjacent to... So it's one space with Scotty Raid. Oh, God. I think I could, like, pick this, and all the raiders might show up there for a settlement, which is kind of appealing. Let me see if that's how it's actually... Again, the player aid doesn't feel as comfortable. Oops, this is a feat, not an action. Works like Saxon South. Fuck. Settling analysis. First, if that space has or is adjacent to any raiders, roll a d6 for each one and place a war. Yeah, so they go in the settle space. So it's only one space that I get to settle in, but I could get warriors from all these spaces in there. The other option would be to convert something using the entreat option to get additional units in. But I think I like the idea of settling here. And so what we're going to be doing, we're not as good here. We only settle on a 5 or a 6, and it only costs us costs us 2 people, and they'd have to go into an empty space. There's no empty space here. So there's an empty site here, but I don't know what kind of site is which, because it's at, what does it say? At an empty site. I think they can go in the non-town sites. But again, so where's the map described? Stronghold sites. 2 strongholds. Each site is either a town sort or a hillside. Okay, so strongholds may occupy sites only. 1 stronghold. Towns can occupy town sites, and everything else can occupy either type. So yeah, so I could slip my way into this. This is not what I really was desiring. I would have really liked... Oh, I can grow here. There's a site there. Great. Yeah, we'll do this. Scotty ended up becoming rather powerful, actually. They got very, very lucky. And at first they didn't get any successes, but overall, yeah, they converted, what, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. That's all their raiders go back, though. They don't get to... Shit, these stupid little pieces go flinging around, and I'm sure that these things are causing issues. I can't grasp them, that's the problem. If they were shaped like triangles, they'd be fine, but they've got this little curved edge to them, so they go and flick out and hit other things and knock them down. But yeah, now we've got Scotty control here. That reduces the British control a little bit, or Britain control a little bit. Now we've got the next card, though. Now we did the feet. That means the Dukes could play this. Now, if the Dukes don't play this, they get first shot here, and they're worried about the Britons getting that shot. So passing might not be a terrible idea. On the other hand, I could really damage our raid for the rest of the epic. I think I'm probably more interested. Am I going to be taking the first on here? God, I don't like this card. But the problem is, okay, so here's the thing. If the Saxons take this card, I'm fine, because then I can get my action. But if they don't take the card, I don't get anything exciting. But I don't get much out of this, I don't think. So I'm going to pass and grab cash. And that means the Saxons have an option on this. And what do they feel about it? Well, they certainly don't want to use it for its bonus. They'd get first shot at this card, so they too will pass. I believe they just get one. Yeah. And that goes here. This card comes up, and what do we get? I can't even pretend to see what that first letter is. Pictish ships beaten back, set Oceanus Septinalis to patrol. That would suck, for the Picts at least. And Saxon raiders can always use that, but reduced also for Germanicus patrol, if any. Saxons free raid now. I assume they mean immediately, but I would have to look that card up in the playbook to find that out. Free raid now could mean free raid for the rest of the epic, but I highly doubt that. I think it just means they get a single free raid action. However, what does that mean? Does that mean that they get to raid at the 2 renown or the 1 renown? Yeah, I don't know. And the playbook does actually cover this. It has every card. I was afraid it didn't, because it didn't spell things out quite the same, but they talk about this. And yeah, they get the full raid as big as they like without paying anything, which is pretty damn cool. So that's a damn good card. However, they have first shot at this card. And no one, I think, is capable. We can't trigger this because green's not in the first or second position. In fact, they're not even eligible. So this is tempting, you know. It's like, do I want this, or do I want this really awesome card here? I gotta think. Because the thing is, my Fens are all down along the Germanicus anyway. So taking this card, I reduce the cost of forts, but it means my raiding is not going to get interfered with. On the other hand, taking this card would give me a massive raid without having to pay for it. I just don't know which I like better. The Dukes have chosen that they're going to take a command plus feat, because although they could get that next time, If they don't do it now, they end up giving it to our Cervantes. And I don't see too much I really want to do with this. I could flip this to patrol, I guess. I mean, however, we're looking at an ugly situation. I recalculated my Dux values, and the prosperity was one lower, hence their victory space is one lower. I don't have a way to get prosperity except convincing the Cervantes to build it for us. No easy way. So I'm actually considering inviting some evildoers in to take control of a Britain-controlled area. Now, it's a region, 3 Saxony or 2 Scotty warbands and 1 matching settlement and a vacant site, or replacing a fort with red federati markers. Okay, so that actually doesn't get rid of control either. Shit. Yeah, an invite doesn't really help us. I could attack something like this and attack the Cervantes. And, you know, if I destroy this, that gets rid of the fort, then there's 2 gone, and that helps. And that may be the best I can do, which means eliminate enemy forces, gain prestige. I seem to remember there was a penalty to attacking Cervantes, though. Okay, no, there's no prestige at risk for attacking them. So I think I'm going to end up battling the Cervantes because I'm too worried about them winning the game, and I don't see a way that I can flip. Well, maybe I can. Let's take a look at where that's done. Make sure that I'm not making a timing error here. We did on time. Okay, we're over the hour. I was hoping to get the whole thing in on this one, but I'm finding myself looking things up. So in the Imperium phase is where we determine just before victory. So then what that's going to be determined by is if wealth exceeds prestige by 10. Okay, we've got to get it down to 6. We have to get it down to 5 for it to matter. Now, right now, there's just too much wealth. So I think I have to prevent the Britain control from being high enough to allow them victory. And I think that's going to be a battle there. What am I going to do with a battle? I could requisition, which would get me some cash, or I could retaliate, which would allow me to plunder. If the battle removes all enemy stronghold, add 3 prestige and reduce that enemy's renown or wealth by 5. Well, that actually sounds very pleasing because I could shift these as well. And then if this goes up, I could end up getting, I mean, 3 more gets me real close. It doesn't hurt that. Sounds good to me. Or some casualties. The problem is during the assault step, everything counts as 1s. I was fine up until then, but then the trade-offs hurt me. And because I retaliated, I was able to grab the wealth of the town. That doesn't affect the plunder, actually. And then not the plunder, the prosperity. And then I also was able to take additional prestige, and I got 1 more for taking the town. And that puts me, I think, there. I have 1275. I'm actually all the way up. I didn't count the extra 1. Okay, so that's pretty damn impressive. I think I'm at victory now. This area loses Britain control because there's no fort there, which means 2 more population drop down, and now the Dukes are in the position to win because they've tied these up so that can swing over, which doesn't really help the barbarians. They're gonna probably have to fire this sucker off and do some serious damage. Put this in, and oh, screwed. Game might be over here. Cutting the ties. Not a fragmentation. Britons expel Roman magistrates. Civilities may shift to civilian dominance, or, if already there, to autonomy. Unfortunately, I believe this happens at a bad point. Yeah, the epic event, I don't know when it happens. When does the epic event happen? First the Annona, then the Imperium, then the victory. And if we make it through the victory, we're going to be hitting this, which could cause an issue. What the hell just happened? Oh, I swapped that in and that goes here. And yeah, now I don't have the ability to fire this off. I'm a little surprised because I counted over here. I had 9 cards, but you know what? I wasn't counting these cards. I actually broke down and counted the cards. That brought it up to 12. That means there was only 1 extra. And yes, I was a little bit more at risk than I thought I was. And that probably means the game. Okay. And we'll go through some of the mechanical stuff. I'm going to do it off camera. And come back with a summation because there's really not too much going on here, but I think the game is over. I think unless something weird happens that I'm not really aware of, I think the Imperium is decided here, and the autonomy starts down there. We're not going to. We didn't get the Britain roll down low enough, and let me just make sure. There's like 5 population missing. Yeah, that's what I got there. Yeah, it looks like this game got ended by a couple of things. You know, this could have been played and could have done a lot of damage, but I had the miscount. All right, we'll go. Game will go on. There's the hoarding step at the beginning of Imperium and civilities wealth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not going to move, which means we're going to keep this under civilian control. This isn't high enough for them to get a win. So this was an acceptable solution for the Dukes. I mean, the main thing was they had to prevent the Civilities from winning, and they were closer to winning than I thought they were. Okay, and then beyond that, what do we do? The Imperium track. British control is 30 or more, and total prosperity and prestige is higher than 55, so we're not going anywhere, and that's not going anywhere, so this stays exactly where it is. And that means we hit the victory phase. The only side that can win is the Civilities, and they miss by 1. And we feel like we're, as the Raiders, we're really teetering. I mean, the Scotty are doing some cool stuff in terms of settlement. That's not really their goal, but whatever. I mean, they have to get 4 of these to win, but okay, that means we get the epic. All right, Britons expel Roman magistrates. Civilities may shift to civilian dominance, or if already there, to autonomy, in order to place 10 militia in Britain-controlled regions. I got 1. I'm not sure I want to do that. Then Dukes pays 0 or more resources. Civilities may add from wealth. Roll a d6 per 7 cap on the map. Dux removes cav to available equal to rolled total less amount paid. Okay. D6 for 7 cav on the map. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 I count. That sounds like I'm going to be rolling 3 dice, which sounds really awful, like I missed by 1. Let me make sure. Well, I had 20 cav. There should be 15 on the map, yeah. Dux pays. Resources. Sabates may add from wealth. Roll a d6 per 7 cavalry on the map. Dux removes cav to available equal to rolled total less amount paid. So I'm going to be rolling 3 dice. That'll average me somewhere around, I think, what is it, like 10.5, I think, for 3 dice. If I recall my D&D probabilities. That's a lot of cav. The Dux do not want to lose all that cav, but the Savates may not want them to lose it all either. Whew. And then we haven't hit our revenue yet. We'll be getting a decent amount of revenue. Gosh. I mean, we don't, this is the key thing, we don't have to shift in order to get a pile of militia. I got plenty of militia, so I don't need that. My militia haven't been removed yet, right? That happens, yeah, that happens down here in the upkeep phase, so yeah, I definitely don't want to do that. And downgrade, and I don't know how much money I want to throw in. The Dux are the most affected by this, and they've got to make first choice. I'm going to spend 12. Sabates aren't going to spend anything. That means I lose 3 cav. Where do they go? Just to available, so that's not that bad. I don't want to take the ones with treasure. Try to keep an army, but I don't have much of one left. And that is it for this era. I'll put these aside in the next era, and I will never be able to assess how many cards are out, you know. I'm just going to be able to guess by what shows up here, but I don't even know how many that is because cards start showing up there. Okay. Now we go to the rest of the mechanical actions. Written resource, the Savates resources ended up huge. They ended up at 93, but they max out at 80. And then they've got to pay the Roman taxes. So not only do they lose 13 that they had built up, but they also then, you know, they lost the 13 essentially because the 20 taxes, they're going to pay that no matter what. But if the order was allowed to be scrambled up or whatever, they'd be 13 higher than they are right now. But that got absorbed by the end of the track. Hey, excess wealth, you know? It's quite possible I wanted to do that breaking of the ties as the Civitatis here. I'm looking at prosperity is way up. You can see Duke's prestige has shot up. Why? Oh, because they get 5 points for being here. They get like 2 for being down there. So that is adding to my difficulty here. Now, on the bright side, I'm hoping that the Raiders are going to be able to do something, you know. But Civitatis, well, if we can get to autonomy, we need less victory conditions. But so do the Dukes. So I'm not really sure. We'd both be kind of in play, and the danger is that this prestige is so high. So I'm willing to like try to keep things as they are. The Dukes is certainly happy about that. And what else? No population expansion or anything like that. You can see the troops have repositioned, etc. Not too many militia. The militia are only a problem when they're clustered together. I don't know if I want. I had an opportunity to shift some of these. I'm not really sure. I kind of like strengthening that a little bit too. And you can also see the areas with the increased population have gotten more prosperity, and that may be part of what's going on here. And we turn up another card. And we've got this one still triggered, but now things are different, right? Because the Saxons are going to get first shot at it again. And maybe they want to do... no, that's not, that was the card that went by. And the new card is Feeding the Ravens. Winter campaign, pay double to march one region, to one region. Battle there if any marching units arrive. In the field battle, strike during trap, and no enemy evade. I can't even parse the language on these things. They try to be too sparse. Bravery until the epic, your troops, when assaulting a stronghold, can absorb double losses. Free battle now. Ooh, that's appealing. So that might be actually worth the Saxons holding, except that the free battle wouldn't help them. So they'll probably pass on it and take an event off this card, which means, hey, maybe the Romans, the Dukes. Well, the Dukes already kind of gets a bonus of that double losses, but this is during assaulting. Now, what counts as assaulting? That's an interesting question. Assault is the entirety, including the escalade and the storm. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Do the losses carry over between rounds? I don't believe so. Okay. They couldn't, because then Cav would die after that. And we're going to load this one up because it's basically, we're done with the second epic. That was real close. Really close to both the Civitates and the Dukes player getting a victory. I had better do this at some point, but again, how deep in do you fire it off? I don't know. And it's hard to tell when there are cards out here with these little markers, because you don't know how many of them showed up this last round, especially if you wander away a lot like I do. All right, up it goes. It's kind of bothering me, and I mean, the Hengist card just settles him down there, and there's no decision. The normal invite, I'm okay with that option. My understanding of Hengist was that he actually was kind of turned into a Federati at first. And that's what kind of bugs me a little bit about that card. Not so much in that sense, but I hope there's a card in there that gives one of the Britain players the opportunity not to invite, but to essentially turn some of these into Federati. I actually wish that was an action, feat or an action command, but the problem with that, of course, is it's pretty hard to get these settlements and war bands on the board. And once they're there, it may only make sense that it would be maybe one or two of the cards in there. Anyway, just some thought.